kiddos. So today we're going to be talking about fractions and the parts of a fraction. So first, I have written out a couple definitions on this board that I would like to go over with you all before we start our activity. So the first definition that I have written out here is fraction. And a fraction is how many equal parts there are that make up a whole. So in a fraction, there is a numerator and a denominator. A numerator shows how many parts of a whole are taken or shaded. So the top number on a fraction is the numerator. Now the bottom number is the denominator, and the denominator shows the total number of equal parts that the whole is divided or broken down into. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples to make that a little simpler to understand, because I know the wording of definitions can sometimes be confusing. So first I'm going to write a fraction, and we're going to talk about which part is the denominator and which part is the numerator. And then I'm going to kind of draw out an illustration to show you how you would illustrate a fraction. So first we're going to do one of the more simpler fractions that you will need to know, and that is 1/2. So 1/2 is written as 1/2. Just like that. So the 1 is the numerator and the 2 is the denominator. Now I'm just going to use a circle and divide it into the equal parts based on the denominator. So as the definition said, the denominator tells us how many equal parts the whole is broken down into. So in this example, the whole needs to be broken into 2 parts. So I'm just going to draw a line straight down the center, or as close to the center as I can get, because I'm not good at drawing straight lines. And then the numerator shows us the number of parts that are taken away or that are shaded, however the example is written. So for this example, I'm going to shade 1/2 of our circle. So there we go. So we see that 1 out of the 2 parts is shaded. So 1/2, 1/2 of this circle is shaded. Now we're going to do another example. And for this one, it's going to be a little more difficult, but I want you to try to draw out the illustration. So we're going to do 3/5. Let me rewrite that 5 because it looks a little funky. So 3/5, or 3/5. So remember, the denominator tells us how many parts the whole should be divided into, and the 3 tells us how many of the parts should be shaded or taken away. Again, I think the easiest way to demonstrate these fractions is with a circle or a square, some kind of shape. The circle just seems to be the easiest because it's easier to use for every number whenever you're dividing into some odd numbers. So I'm going to try to illustrate that on here as you try to illustrate yours on your own paper. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The main goal is just that you know that you understand how to illustrate the fraction. The circle being perfect isn't what's important to us today. And I'm going to use a different color to illustrate the fraction, just that it's easier for you all to see on the camera. So I'm going to give you all a couple more seconds. If you don't get it right off the first try, it is no big deal. It's a difficult concept to grasp. So here we have my circle, which is more like an oval, but it works for this. And it is split into 5 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the numerator 3, so we have 1, 2, 3 of the sections shaded in. Now again, like I said, we are more focused on that you know how to illustrate the fraction than drawing perfect circles or shading in perfectly, that sort of thing. Next, I am going to show you all an activity that I enjoyed when I was in elementary school, and it's using a Hershey bar to demonstrate fractions. So we will get right to that. So now we are going to use a Hershey bar to illustrate or demonstrate our fractions. So I have here a full-size Hershey bar. It's actually a king size. And I'm going to open this, hopefully. And then I'm going to use a paper towel to set my Hershey bar on. And then I'm going to write a fraction on this whiteboard that I have here. And I want you to try to use your pencil and paper if you don't have a Hershey bar. If you have a Hershey bar, you're more than welcome to do this activity with me using a candy bar. However, if not, pencil and paper will work just fine. So, as I said, I'm going to write out a fraction on the board. So we will do 9 over 12, which is also known as 9/12, which is a funny word. 12ths is a funny word. It sounds strange, but 9/12. So again, the 9 is the numerator, indicating the part that is taken away or the part that is shaded. And then the 12 is the number of equal parts of a whole. So using my Hershey bar, I'm going to go ahead and break up each piece individually, if I can. I did not realize king-size Hershey bars are so thick. However, they are. So hopefully I don't accidentally break any of these pieces in half. Okay. So, again, like I said, if you want to just use pencil and paper and try to draw out 9/12, that is perfectly fine. Or if you have some other object that you would like to use, that would be fine as well. I'm going to use the Hershey bar, and then I'm also going to draw it out for you. So here we have the Hershey bar, and it is broken up into equal pieces to make up a whole. So our denominator is 12, so we need to ensure that we have 12 total pieces. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we do have 12 pieces. And if this wasn't a king-size Hershey bar that was so difficult to break apart, they would be more equal pieces. However, this will work fine for our activity. So as I said, 12 is our denominator. So we do want this 12 to equal the whole number, the amount of pieces that we have total. And then the 9, the numerator, is going to demonstrate the amount of pieces that we take away. So we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have our other 3 that make up the whole. So this demonstrates 9/12 because this is the 9 that is represented by the numerator. And then this is the whole that is represented by the denominator. Now, as I said, I'm also going to draw out or illustrate our fraction on my whiteboard. So I'm going to erase what I had written, the 9/12, and then rewrite it at the top of the board so I have a little more space to draw. So I'm going to try to make my circle a little bigger for this one just so the parts aren't very tiny. So I'm going to make my circle. And then again, we will use the denominator to tell us how many pieces or parts we need this whole to be broken into. So in this example, that is 12 parts. And like I said earlier, these parts aren't going to be perfectly equal because I am human, we are human, and everything we do is not going to be perfect. However, as long as we do have 12 parts, then we are good. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we do indeed have 12 parts of our whole. Now we are going to look at the numerator, which will tell us how many parts we need to shade in. Since this numerator is 9, we are going to shade in 9 parts of the whole. And I'm just going to kind of draw squiggly lines in them just so it doesn't take up as much time. Now, if you were drawing this to demonstrate it, you would want to make sure that it was fully shaded so that myself or your teacher would know which parts you are shading in, just to alleviate any confusion. So now we have our 9 parts of our whole shaded in. So this shaded area represents 9/12. Now I'm going to demonstrate this as well with a rectangle, kind of to be more similar to the Hershey bar, so that we can see that as a visual as well. So again, we are going to separate this whole into 12 parts. And as I said, my parts are not completely equal. In an ideal world, in an ideal fraction scenario, the parts would all be equal. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces total. Now, because the numerator is 9, we are going to shade in 9 of those parts. So we're shading in 9 parts of the 12. And again, I'm not going to completely fill them in. 1, because it is difficult to do with markers. And 2, because I'm not trying to take all day. So here we have our 9/12. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colored in as our numerator. So 9/12, because we have 12 total pieces. Now, if you think back to our Hershey bar, that rectangular example does look a little more similar to the Hershey bar. So we're going to do one more with the Hershey bar, and then I will illustrate that one as well, probably just with a rectangle this time. So for this one, let's do 11/12. So I'm going to first write it out. So 11/12 is 11 over 12. So there we have 11/12. 11 is the numerator, meaning that is the part that will be shaded or taken away from our denominator, which is 12. So we will have 12 equal parts of a whole. So as I said, I'm going to do a rectangular illustration of this one. And again, my rectangle is not perfect. I'm not the best at drawing shapes and making them even. So here we have our rectangle and our 12 parts. We're going to count them to make sure that there are 12. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts of a whole, which is represented here by our denominator 12. So now we are going to take our numerator 11, and we will use that to represent the 11 pieces that we will shade in. So now I have colored in the 11 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 parts are shaded in of the 12 parts that make up the whole. So we have 11/12. Now I'm going to use the Hershey bar to demonstrate this fraction as well. So here we have our Hershey bar with its 12 parts of the whole. We will count them to make sure that there are 12. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are in fact 12 pieces of this Hershey bar, so 12 parts to make up the entire Hershey bar as a whole. Now, if you'll recall, our fraction was 11/12. So, in order to demonstrate 11/12 with this Hershey bar, we will take one piece away, and that will give us 11 parts of this whole. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then our whole is made up of 12 parts still. So if you look at the Hershey bar and then you actually look at this illustration, they do look quite similar. Now they look a little more similar if we take this off here, and instead of having it right there with the other pieces, we separate it. However, that is still part of this whole. We have just moved it over here, as we did right here. So this has been our fraction video for the day. I do hope that this helps you all with learning how to illustrate and identify fractions with illustrations. However, fractions are a difficult concept to grasp, so don't feel bad. Don't get discouraged if you're having difficulties with it. Please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Just keep practicing, and that will help to ensure that you do get better. You will get better with practice. So I hope that you all have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.